Hi, I'm Susanna, and this is the Susanna Gibbs Show. I have been fortunate enough to have 2 careers over the past 20 years. It's longer than that. I've been an actress and producer, and I've also had an insurance agency, which is a very interesting mix of art and business. But on this podcast, we mix both. We talk to artists, idealists, entrepreneurs, the hows, the whys, and choosing to get up again. And the insurance agency sponsors the whole thing. So you can help us out by sharing this podcast, going to the website, www.gibagencydallas.net, and tell us what you think about the show. We would love to hear from you. On the podcast today is Matthew Thornbury. He is someone that I knew way back once upon a time when we used to shoot at Sally Beauty Supply. He's here to talk about his new movie, Blue Moon, which is out on all the streaming platforms. And we also talk about the SAG strike, the writer's strike, and Barbie. We're going to end the podcast with an insurance tip of the week so you can go out into the world smarter and more knowledgeable about exciting things in insurance. Thank you so much for being here. Please reach out to us, and I hope you enjoy the show. And now, on with the show. Matthew, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's been way too long. Way too long.
It has been a long time since we hung out.
How long has it been? Like,
I don't know,
12
man.
years or something, right? Yeah.
Of course, now that I'm older, I measure time by what kid it was. And so I just
think
remember
you left
being
with your first one, right?
It was my first one. So she is now 15.
No, it has not been that long.
I know.
Oh,
Time marches on for everyone. So we're going to talk about Barbie first, because I'm super excited to hear your thoughts about Barbie without giving spoilers. Because sometimes,
okay.
So I think we should talk about, do we want to give spoilers or no spoilers?
I'll do my best to refrain, but I mean...
What are your thoughts on Barbie? Because I know you've seen it, and I know that you loved it.
I absolutely loved it. My whole family loved it. Most people that I know seem to really like it. One of my best friends and his wife saw it last night, and they could not stop texting me about it, and they went, dressed up in their matching pink. The few people I know that didn't like it, I think, are more upset about what it wasn't than what it was, maybe, because when you hear, oh, they're making a Barbie movie, it's like, oh, so is like Barbie going to come to life? Or maybe the girl goes into a Barbie, like a little girl goes into the Barbie world, and, it's kind of a fun romp, and this is not that.
I feel like I've seen the Barbie movie where Barbie becomes a mermaid princess about 40 times, and it's probably not this movie.
No, not at all. Like, people who watch the shows that were on, like, they're on Netflix now, like my girls did, it's not that at all. This is kind of a weird, beautiful, satirical take on the human condition. And I don't think a lot of people are ready to go into a Barbie movie to think a whole lot, and you kind of have to with this. But like, my wife was in tears at the end. Like, it touches on mortality. Like, I don't know, in the trailer, this isn't giving anything away. Everything's fun, and they're having a dance party, and then all of a sudden, Barbie says, do any of you ever think about dying? And it's probably the funniest line I've ever heard in a movie in context. Like, it had me rolling the first time I saw it in the trailer. It had me rolling in the theater because, again, you don't want to think about that kind of stuff usually, and especially not in a Barbie movie.
Well, Margot Robbie is one of my faves, as well as Ryan Gosling. They're both so talented. Would this movie have been as successful with different people? Is it the writing in the script, or is it? I'm sure it's probably a mixture of everything.
Margot Robbie isn't just Barbie; she's also the producer, right? And yeah,
I did not know that she. I did. Did she sign on as a producer in the beginning, or did she come on?
Amy Schumer left the project, and Margot Robbie was brought on. Margot Robbie produces most of the things she's in now, like with I, Tonya.
Well, she helped develop some of, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on
Harley
the character's
Quinn.
name.
Yeah, and
Thank you,
I,
yes.
Tonya, which she's incredible in, and she's very savvy, and she's a great actress on top of that. And I think, when they decided to bring on Greta Gerwig as well, they worked really well together, and they both decided they wanted to do something that wasn't what you thought it was going to be. And the second I heard that Greta Gerwig was on board, it's like, okay, this is going to be fantastic because it's going to be weird. Little
What
Women.
else has Greta Gerwig done?
And Lady Bird.
Okay.
Yeah, like...
Interesting. Well, Little Women, okay. Lady Bird, though. Lady
Right.
Bird's got
And
some teeth
so does
to
this.
it. So,
But and then they both wanted Ryan Gosling on, and Ryan Gosling, even in the press tour, has been all in. And I think with this kind of character, he needed to be. And I mean, the day the movie came out, people were like, "Oh, this is going to get nominated for supporting actor at least," because he's that good. It's kind of like when you watch Beetlejuice and you see Michael Keaton pop up and he just kind of steals everything because he's all in on this really weird character. Imagine that, but he has half the movie. Yeah, it's great.
Interesting. So, Margot Robbie, seriously, she wins in the genetic gene pool. She's got looks and brains. But Ryan Gosling, this is a fun game. I've been asking people, what's your three favorite Ryan Gosling movies?
I actually really like The Notebook. I think he's great in it. And just for the one line, after he finished building it, he gave serious thought to burning it down. I think we've all been there where it's like, it's done. I hate it. I love that. This, he's fantastic in, but I'm a huge fan of Drive. I love Drive. But also The Nice Guys. Nice Guys, he's great. Like, he's always good. He's always good.
So my top three: Drive. I need to watch it again. Lars and the Real Girl. That was the first time I was like, "Oh, you're not just pretty. Holy cow!" Crazy Stupid Love. I think he's so
even when
good
he
in that.
shows up on SNL, he's great. He's
the skits on SNL, the
the
UFO
one where
alien
Kate
skits
McKinnon
are
is
some of the best.
manhandling him.
That's the second one where she's literally just That's a good one. Super good.
What's your favorite Margot Robbie role?
I hope people. Oh, I don't know. I'm interested to see this one, honestly, because I feel like we haven't seen the best of Margot Robbie.
I agree.
You know?
And the funny thing is, she's always fantastic. And like, even a role like her first big breakout here was Wolf of Wall Street, and a role like that, you could be a one and done, right? But she steals that movie from everyone else, and it's like the biggest actors ever in that movie. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So the other thing we talked about, which I want to get into, is because I thought you had some really interesting insights into the SAG strike.
It's funny how we call it the SAG strike, even though WGA's been striking for like 2 months longer. Yeah. Yeah.
I should add in the writer's strike as well.
And the solidarity between the two is fantastic. So, yeah.
What are the biggest issues that the writers are going after?
Royalties, first of all. From the days where you could write on a show in the 90s, or the 80s, and your royalties would be, in the thousands, are gone. And there are people online on Twitter who are posting copies of the residual checks for big streaming shows where you're getting like a 3-cent check, and Mandy Moore for her work on This Is Us, which is one of the biggest hits on network television, says that
Huge.
she's gotten like $34 in residuals in streaming.
How are the streaming people getting away with
I've been
streaming? I guess this is where they're not. That's why people are striking.
I've been wondering that
enough.
because, back when we had the studio system and the studio's own production, distribution, and exhibition, the government kind of stepped in and said, yo, there's some antitrust stuff going on. Like, you guys are a monopoly. So you need to get rid of one of your three parts. And they said, we'll get rid of exhibition because they can't exhibit anything if we don't produce it and then distribute it. So that was fine. So they get a 50-50 take from theaters, right? But with streaming, they kind of bypass that and they get everything. And with streaming, they don't really have to kind of report properly. And, Hollywood accounting's always been funny. Like they said that Predator lost money, but it has 6 sequels. 6 sequels to a movie that lost money, right?
Right. No, nobody makes a sequel if it loses money.
So it's one of the things where at some point it almost feels like the government might have to step in again, because it's like, hey, remember how you got rid of exhibition like 60 years ago? Well, that's literally what Paramount Plus, Peacock, and all these other places are. You're exhibiting your stuff. Especially when they'll make things and bypass theaters or regular broadcast television altogether. So it was a little different when like Netflix first started and they could license out product, and then everyone's like, oh, well, we don't want to split the revenue anymore. We'll bring it in-house. So the thing is, they don't really have to tell you how much something is making, how much it's been viewed. You just kind of have to trust them. And that's what studios are known for, is trust.
Oh yeah. So what are the streaming platforms? What do they say in their defense? That we're not making enough money. We're not making money.
Well,
it's not
it kind
profitable.
of depends on the streaming service, right? Like Netflix operated under a loss for a long time, and they're putting billions into content. And they say they're making money, but again, it's kind of hard to judge that. Somebody like Prime, well, you get Prime free with your membership, right? So, are they wanting you to get Prime so you watch more stuff, or are they producing stuff so you buy a Prime account and then shop more because, hey, you already have a Prime account now. You might as well. And everything's kind of like tied together with Amazon, so that's a little weird. With something like Disney, I mean, they own Hulu and ESPN and ABC. Everything. So, yeah, it really depends on the streamer that you're talking about. But apparently Peacock, it came out this morning that Peacock's losing $1.3 billion this year and looks to lose more than $3 billion next year.
Well, there's so much content out there. It's like, how do you get eyeballs on your content? If everybody can, once upon a time, you could make a movie and it would make money, right? All independent movies would make money. A lot of it was on DVD sales overseas. Now the DVDs went away. And now anybody can put out content. I mean, we're putting out content right now. So maybe some of the content needs to go
that's kind
away.
of the
I don't know.
The double-edged sword of this. The one part is, anybody can make something. And that's great. That means there's no more gatekeeping in theory. The downside is anyone can make something, And it used to be you'd have to buy a camera, figure out a way to edit it, whether, it was before digital or after. You would have to get a turnkey Avid system, which, would be $150,000, $200,000. And the price and the access to the equipment was enough of a gatekeeper, right? But now anybody can make a movie on their phone. They can shoot and edit it and publish it on their phone. And that's how we end up with this just tsunami of content. And now it's people don't see it as creating art for culture, it's creating content.
I know my kids have their favorite YouTube
I watch
shows
YouTube
that
more
they
than
like
almost
to watch
anything else.
that I've never. These are shows, and I have a hard time with YouTube because there's a lot of stuff out there that's not great for kids, and so it's been really hard to manage, and I finally just took it away. But they all have their, like, this show, I've never heard of it, but it's so popular, and they all know about it.
Yeah, I've had to have the same kind
crazy.
of talks with my kids where it's like, okay, we're going to have random searches of your phones to make sure you're not watching certain shorts. Like my youngest daughter found a show with like these ghost hunters, and it's all like
oh, my daughter got real scared about that.
And then
she was
and then I had to sit down and watch something with her, and I'm like, okay, so you see how this could easily be faked. And luckily my youngest daughter has gotten into editing, and she has her own channel, so she's able to see past a lot of that kind of stuff. But yeah, at first it was tricky.
There was some weird show. It was a cartoon, and it was the Frozen characters, but they were having babies, and showing it, and I was like, "What is this? Why?"
It's kind of a terrifying platform.
It is. It is. So, coming back to streaming, and because part of when we were talking ahead of time, it was about your experience with your own movie on streaming and the challenges that you've had. So let's talk about what was the movie that you did and released.
I released a film called
recently.
Blue Moon. It played some festivals last year, and then it went public on Amazon Prime in November, and then it hit Tubi, Apple TV, and a handful of others. And at first we were getting some good views, especially before it went to the on-demand services, right? When it was up for rent and for sale only, it was very easy to see how many people were watching it, because I could, basically see, okay, we've had this many rentals. Amazon keeps half, and then my distributor takes 20, and then I get the rest, and then my DP gets 10. So it's like I could easily figure out from what I was getting how many people were watching it, right? Then we went to Tubi, and even though Tubi does have a much better payout, I have no idea how many people are watching it, because the number of ad breaks changes day to day almost, it seems. And now instead of being able to see, okay, I got X amount, so that means this many people bought it and this many people rented it, now I just get a number, and I have no idea how many streams that is, and I don't know how much they're charging for the ad placements. It's just something they do, and then I get a dollar amount, and lately it's been more like a cent amount every month, and that's it.
What does Tubi say on the front end of how they're going to manage the ads and how the ads affect your revenue?
They basically say we will put ads on it, and they will vary, and that's kind of what they say. There's
interesting. Is there a theory on what
idea.
their motivation is based on? I mean, they have to know how many people are on their platform at any given time.
And the theory is that if more people are watching it, they'll put more ads onto it, right? That's what it's supposed to be.
And is it like commercials, like watching a TNT movie where literally it takes 4 hours to watch a 2-hour movie?
One or two ads at the beginning, and then you can place ad breaks throughout, right? I streamed it the other night. My DP was over. He and I haven't talked in a little bit because we've been busy. And we got together and we put the movie on Tubi, and we had a couple of ad breaks, right? Checked this morning, there are no ad breaks. So I have no idea how it varies from day to day. There's no reasoning, they just do it. And that's kind of the frustrating part, is that I just have to take their word for it. And there's really no way of there's no way of
so there's no accountability.
There's no accountability and no way of accounting for the metrics. Like I could at least see, oh, well, people are dipping out at this part, or these people are like people from this area are watching it, or people of this demographic are watching it. So I could make ads targeting those people. So right now, anytime I make an ad, it's just kind of a shot in the dark. It's like, I think this is the group watching it, when I really don't know. I do.
You make the ads?
I'm paying for this myself. Yeah. No, like if I'm doing a Facebook ad for the movie, I mean, not the ads that are shown. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
No.
They're
I
thought
the
you
ones,
meant ads on TV.
Yeah, they do that.
And what's your movie about?
A mostly true story. What happened to me when the log line is the mostly true tale of a man traveling to eastern Kentucky to deal with the unexpected death of his estranged father. So it's based on what happened when my dad died suddenly in 2016. And about halfway through the trip, things were really weird. And I kept telling people about it. And they're like, oh, that's really weird. My wife finally said, you need to make a movie about it. So I did. And yeah, it's the movie, as weird as it gets, some of the stuff that I put in the movie, it was actually weirder in real life. But like it was so weird that people wouldn't have believed it. So, yeah.
Interesting. Super fun. What's on the agenda for? What's your next project?
We're actually working on a couple of things. I was talking to somebody last night. The goal is to get more people to see Blue Moon, so we can. Because one of the nice things about doing it myself was that I wasn't beholden to anybody, and that's nice. But the second you get money from other people, you are beholden to them, right? But we're trying to figure out what the best thing to do would be, because there are like 3 things that I've started writing that I really like, but part of me is thinking that they're a little too weird and a little too out there. Because that's just kind of where my head wants to go. And we're, I've got people on both sides where it's like, let's make something that we can easily sell. And other people are like, let's make something that can, satisfy us artistically. So it's a,
that's
and,
I
got to meet Spielberg when I was in college, and I asked him if he ever felt torn between making a movie artistic versus marketable. And he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, all the time. The key is you have to find the art. So I've been trying to find the art, and it's tough, and that's why he is who he is.
It is. That's a good point. To find the art in the marketable. And it has to be a story you just have
and that's
to
kind
tell.
of it's also like, for him, like he said, when he talked to me, he said Jurassic Park is a dumb monster movie, but making the dinosaurs realistic was the artistic part. And you're like, okay, well, that's why it works so well. So sometimes for him, it's not necessarily the story that's artistic, but the way he tells it, So yeah, right. Also right now it's trying to judge what the market's going to do, because no one really knows. Because, things that you could have banked on last year to succeed are failing this year. It's really weird.
Well, and that's the trouble, because it making a movie is not a short endeavor. So if it changes so fast in a year, this project that you've come up with that would be great right now in a year may be yesterday's news. Yeah. It'd be so interesting to see what happens with the writer's strike and the actor's strike. I know that one of the things that struck me, and we've talked about AI before, is how do you control your image?
Well, this
how do
is
actors
one way.
Control their image? Do they sign away the rights to their image?
Part of this is that right as the strike happened, studios came to SAG and they said, okay, well, how about this? We pay a background actor for 1 day, and then we scan their likeness, and then we can use it however we want in perpetuity. And it's like, wait, what? So you can have
that in perpetuity clause on the contract. I walked from any of them that said in perpetuity. I was like, I thought
Crispin Glover sued 30 years for this exact same thing on Back to the Future 2. Where it's like, oh, I was in the first one, I wasn't in the second one, you can't use my image. I thought we were past this, but now they're wanting to get an exact digital replica of an actor. So if they see a background actor that's being paid, a couple $100s a day, and they're like, oh, this person has a really good look, they can scan them and get them to say whatever they want. Like, that's, I mean, the ethics of that alone are troublesome.
Very troublesome. Well, Matthew, thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking with me about what you have in the pipeline and Barbie and
thank you for
all
having
the
me.
rest.
I really enjoyed it.
And I'm glad you got the maroon memo. It's good work. Yeah. All right. Thanks again. It's always fun to talk to other filmmakers because nerding out about performances and stories, and it's just always super fun. So segueing into the insurance tip of the week, because we talked about the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild, which are unions and they are striking, let's talk about workers' comp in the state of Texas. Texas is a right-to-work state, so you don't have to have workers' comp here. However, if you don't have workers' comp, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to a potential suit by an employee. It's a lot harder for an employee to sue you for negligence with workers' comp. So just because your employee walks around the desk and trips and falls, that could be your problem as the employer if you don't have workers' comp. Reach out to us if you have questions about that or anything else. Go to giveagencydallas.com. Thank you so much for being here. Reach out to us at giveagencydallas.net. We would love to hear from you. Thank you in advance for sharing this podcast with other Texans you may know who like to hear about what's going on in their great state. Thanks so much. See you again next week.